Hello there. So today I would like to have a look at our novel and see what is going on in this new chapter that's just been written. So this chapter is all about the gnome and the squirrel, a chaotic white castle. So what's actually been happening in the novel is you have Stormfire Gnome and you have um, the squirrel, Musky Squirrel. And they've become friends, not only friends, but they've been working together. They've been, if you will, Stormfire taking his power and his genius and his talent, and the squirrel taking his power and his genius and his talent, which is completely different, and bringing that together to create a little powerhouse and allowing that energy to move into a network with this dream team of other gnomes and elves and pixies that come in together to create a, if you will, we talk about the white-capped pixies. Well, what they're creating is a large white-capped system in and of themselves. And what I've been shown is this strategic movement forward. So, like a chess game, as I've said so many times before in the novel, there is a chess game between the um, the white-capped pixies and the Overlord system, and one makes a move, the other makes a move. So, within this strategic plan, there were guidelines for moves set out, just like there were on the Overlord team. But that has to play out in real time. So, what they have to do is on the white capped Pixies team, they have to look at all the potentials that the Overlords might do, all the potential moves the Overlords might make in the chess game. And then they have to look at certain strategies and movements that they could make if certain movements are made, but they don't know ahead of time which move might be made, but they have to work out how to move depending on the move made by the overlords. But it's exactly the same on the other side, which is why I've always said in the novel, many authors who are writing similar novels, many readers of the novel will say the white-capped pixies are in control. They've been saying this for many years when the novel was first written. And I've always said, when you read this novel, you will see that the white-capped pixies are not in control. And for a while, the overlords have had the edge on that, if you will. But really, neither side has ever been in control because it's one step on one side, one step on the other with equal power. When you look at the higher energies, the higher power has always been with anything that is in alignment with truth, light, and ascension, which will be the white cat pixie side. That's what is standing in alignment with the higher truth. And the overlords are fully aware of that. And they have dark magical wizards and magicians that are or can counteract that higher energy. And they've been doing that for thousands of years in this village. So that's the kind of strategic play out, neither side in control. What is interesting is the dark magicians, the overlords, going way back many years, they would use like a psychic awareness to plot out this strategy. And the white cat pixies, really, that was designed from the higher realms. That wasn't something that came into an awareness on the physical level until in more recent times, but it was always there within the higher frequencies, always there within the pre-matter template before it had manifested within the physical. As time has moved forwards, the dark magicians and the overlords have acquired in the novel, we're moving into the science fiction genre of the novel, they have acquired an artificial intelligence system. So they've been able to move away from dark magic using psychic um, psychic types of work, let's say, working in a fourth dimensional sense with a fourth dimensional, lower, dark energy. And we do have demons in our novel, in the horror genre, that sort of thing. That's been able to step forward. It's still in the same frequency, but it's been able to step forward into an artificial intelligence structure. And what I mean by that is this plotting within this strategy, within this overall chess game is now being done by artificial intelligence on the Overlord side. So instead of having to work much harder using psychic means and other forms of dark divination and demonic manifestation and all those things in our novel, what they have been able to do is utilize an artificial intelligence system that bang, bang, bang on this eventuality. If they make this move, these are all the options. Bang, 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 bang. So it's all done like way, way quicker for them with a very high intelligent mind of dark intelligence. Okay, so over on the white-capped pixie side, they have it's moved in a different way. It's been very much from higher energy, lots of guidance, lots of synchronicity, lots of moving into place without the individuals knowing about it, lots of following the guidance and just coming into alignment as if by magic. It's a different kind of flow. But I'm now shown that they too do have an artificial intelligence system that they are also working with. And that's been around for a while. And, you know, we can look at the 17 birds, which was kind of like the first presentation of that in our fictional story. So I've spoken before about the bifurcation within artificial intelligence in our science fiction aspect of the story and how there is a positive and a negative aspect to that. And that's being seeded now. And that's multi-layered. And so we've got a, if you will, a more advanced form of that going on with the Overlord system and the Whitecap Pixie system. So we have this bifurcated artificial intelligence already because the users of this system, which is a quantum system, the users of the system are negatively polarized or positively polarized, or on the path to. So that is seeding the this bifurcation within artificial intelligence. Although the majority of seeders, the main seeders are the Blu-ray masters, which are the people, the Fae, out in the village in all domains. But the other form of seeding is the users that come from this system, overlords, white-cap pixies. So this is what is creating this strategic movement on both sides. So you have actually got a dark AI and a light AI, let's say, even though the AI is the same, but you have dark users and light users, let's say, putting input and data into these systems, and the systems are working for the frequency that's programmed it. So you have a bifurcation already. So this strategy, whilst they are actual gnomes, elves, overlords, vampires, and beings that are operating the strategy and laying it out and choosing the options themselves, the actual chess game, is being played out by two different quantum versions of AI. That's what's happening. Okay, so what's occurred in the village lately is over on the Whitecap Pixie side, you have Stormfire, you have the Squirrel, Musky Squirrel, and they've been friends. As I said, one has power in one way, one has power in another way, and together they've been able to build that and create this dream team. And I will say that there are lots of aspects of this that I am not shown. I'm shown a certain picture. I've moved through multiple full screens and layers to get to this picture because prior to this picture, there's all this other stuff in place, which is created by natural light magic on this side and deliberate false screens on this side, dark magic and light magic. It creates these layers. So when you are a clairvoyant or a psychic or a channel or a remote viewer, whatever you call yourself, you can stop at one of these false screens and think, hey, that's the picture. Here we are. We've got Stormfire and we've got Musky Squirrel, and they are falling out. What we've got here, they don't like each other. They're really cross with each other. Yep, that's all in that first layer. That's all in the full screen. And you have to realize that there's more. And so you think, okay, I'm seeing that picture. Let's go deeper. And then there's something else. And then there's something else. So I've got to this, what I would say is the core point that I am able to see with the permissions and etiquettes that I'm given. And I'm speaking here of the magic that Gloria Love generates in the novel, as she is the protagonist in our story. So when Gloria Love gets to that core point, she's given a picture, a multi-dimensional quantum picture through this remote viewing system that she's using with the 9 to get to that point. But there are other bits outside of that she is not permitted to see. Why? Why can't Gloria Love see those? And the reason is because there are overlords that are like scouts that go out and listen to anyone that might be working in an intuitive way, a remote viewing way that they feel needs to be kept an eye on. They will listen to their information. And so because of that, there has to be like a balance between what Gloria Love in the novel can actually say to actually assist the Fae that are resonating with Gloria Love and want to know Gloria Love's opinions and insights, but without touching the ground or the arena where things would be given away too much to those scouts from the Overlord system who are using the star-seeded, intuitive, higher connected individuals who are not just sitting at false screens, but going to a core in their remote viewing or in their spiritual psychic work. So there has to be this balance, which is why we have so much metaphor in this story and why there is a story and a novel in the first place. It's more than just avoiding town criers that might say things or some kind of there's a big ship that floats on the sea and it's called the Censor. This big ship called the Censor, yes, that's part of it, especially with Gloria Love being in the UK domain. But there's more to the reason why the novel is presented in the way that it is and why Gloria Love speaks the way she does. Because basically the strategy is somewhat similar to the strategy being used on the Whitecap Pixie side, which is to dodge and sidestep, give as much information as possible to those who are truly resonating with that pathway, while also giving a little bit of an uncertainty to a very, very intelligent, powerful, genius team over on the dark side that has a very, very advanced artificial intelligence backup that's assisting them. So let's get more into this core of the story. So we have Stormfire, we have Musky Squirrel, and they have fallen out. They've publicly fallen out. They've said things about one another, and they are having like a public spat, a public falling out for everyone to see. And so these false screens, when you remote view, are showing this falling out and why this falling out is happening. And, these false screens are in place for a reason. It's the way the presentation of reality works when there's multiple different consciousnesses feeding into the manifestations of reality and the timelines. Some of them are deliberate, as I said, from the overlords. That's a trickster system. And some of them are there because of the way that the Whitecap Pixies have to move with their strategy in order to ultimately clean the streets in the village and protect and empower the Fae that live in the land of the Americano and protect and guide the future timelines for the Americano domain, which thus affects the rest of the village. So this is what I've been shown. In an astral projection, lucid dream, going back, I believe this was around 2020. When I was writing the novel back in 2020, Gloria Love had this dream, and in the dream she met Stormfire, and Stormfire, and I did talk about this part of the novel back that I think it was 2020. I can't remember completely, but I think it was roughly around that time. It may have been the following year. Stormfire had a white paper, and Gloria Love knew when she looked at that white paper that that was the plan. You often hear a lot of talk in the Fey circles about truth, circles of truth, and they will talk about the plan and how one should trust it, let's say. So the plan was in Stormfire's hands as a white paper, like a white book. And Gloria Love came round the corner and saw Stormfire with this white paper. Stormfire looked up and looked at Gloria Love, was a bit shocked that she was there because Stormfire at the time was in a bunker. And what Gloria Love felt at the time was encasement, a hermetic seal, a protection around him. So whether Stormfire was in a literal bunker at that time underground in our story, in our fictional novel, or whether that's a metaphor for the hermetic seal, I'm not sure. But Stormfire turned and looked at Gloria Love, a little bit shocked that she was there, because this was a protected space psychically as well as physically. However, individuals who are fully on that same pathway as Stormfire, the Whitecap Pixies, the Dream Team, and where they're going, even if they have a completely different mission and life, if they are in that energy, as in ascension frequency, as in New Earth, as in the best outcome for the Fae, for the whole village, then they're going to be able to meet in these spaces, but only if they are of that same frequency. It's not possible for an overlord, a dark magician, or any fae who hasn't raised that frequency to that space to be able to access that space as a clairvoyant or psychic, because clairvoyant psychic spaces are protected as well. And there are traps there also laid by the dark magicians in our novel. So it's very, very multi-layered throughout, multi-dimensionality. It's more than just what's going on the physical level. So Stormfire was shocked, but then an aspect of him must have realized in this dream scenario that Gloria Love was in alignment in the way that I've been speaking about, and he handed the white paper to Gloria Love. Gloria Love read it, she scanned it, knowing that this was the plan on the light side. And in that moment, in that astral travel, that lucid dream, Gloria Love understood everything in that plan. Because Gloria Love thought, wow, this is amazing. This is deeper than I ever imagined. And the plan wasn't just a linear, mapped out story. It was very magical in the sense that the words lifted from the pages, things were moving, and Gloria Love realized this was a real-time plan. So there is a framework, like a skeleton framework that's been laid out with this quantum system, this light intelligence system that is being programmed for the positive, and the individuals within it and their individual human genius or gnome genius, elf genius, sprite, and all the other wonderful elementals in there, as well as the artificial intelligence working together to create this real-time play out. But the skeleton framework is something to be adhered to with all these eventualities that could be taken and all these probabilities that could occur. So everything was known by Gloria Love in that moment of that plan. When Gloria Love awoke from this astral projection and this intense lucid remote viewing dream time, then the knowing was there, but the awareness of such was not in the fore because it needed to play out in real time. So Gloria Love would be told as things play out when this white paper plan is playing out. And that is what is occurring now. This issue right now between Stormfire and Musky Squirrel was in that original plan back in 2020 when Gloria Love saw that white paper and Stormfire added it to her. This has been planned for a very, very long time with all of the different eventualities and potentials and all the different avenues that could be taken depending on what the overlords do. So what I'm saying here is, I'm getting to the core here. Whilst it looks on the surface, when you read this novel, Stormfire and Musky Squirrel are having a big fight, a big spat. They've fallen out. They don't like each other anymore. It's like the gloves are off and they're in the ring and they're really cross. When you get to the core and move through these false layers that show you this, and you get to the core, this is all part of the original strategy. This was planned a long time ago. There is no falling out. There is no fight. There is no argument. This is playing out on the world stage or the village stage for all the Fae to see for a reason and for multiple reasons. It's a convergence. There are so many things coming together. As I said, there are parts I'm not being shown. I cannot be shown those because it would be a risk to the entire Whitecap Pixie system for me or any intuitive remote viewing individual to see the whole thing. Everyone's going to have little bits of the picture, and there will be clairvoyants that show you the false screens and tell you, whoa, this is a big fight here. They don't like each other. You know, they're going to tell you that. They're going to see those false screens. They're not wrong. They're just seeing the first layer. They haven't moved to the core. And there's a reason for that as well. And those that are seeing the core will see different parts of it. You, as a seeker who is interested in this, I mean, you might not be. You might think, what a load of nonsense. I don't want to know. I'm going to place my focus over here. And I don't want to know about Stormfire and the Squirrel. And that's absolutely fine. You're being called elsewhere. So follow that. But for those who are aware of the importance of Stormfire and his movements and how intrinsic it is to sweeping up the streets in the novel, especially in the Americano domain, but all domains moving off from that. Those who are aware of the importance will want to know what is occurring. Now, they'll have their own feelings, they'll have their own thoughts, but it's always good to listen to the perspective of others, especially if you are resonating with the fact that that individual does have a clairvoyant psychic ability or some kind of remote viewing ability. And you listen to all of these, and together, listening to all of these individuals who are showing you parts of the picture, you can then take that all within and actually make up your own mind about what is happening here. And so you can look at this and think, okay, I've got my evidence, I've got my research, my due diligence, and this is what I feel. And even if you don't know, you listen to me talking about the novel and you listen to multiple other people and you think, I just don't know. I don't know what is true. This amazing clairvoyant person is saying they're having a big argument and a fight. They hate each other. And this person who I also resonate with is saying it's not true. It's a game. It's theatre. It's a play out. It's a pantomime. What's true? What I would say to you if you're in that position is don't subscribe to either opinion. Just remain open and think, okay, well, it could be genuine that they're falling out, or it could be, as Magenta Pixie is saying about her novel and Gloria Love is saying in the novel, it could be that this is a planned strategy and it's not real. Remain open. and wait and see, because there's so much more to play out. We're right at the beginning of this particular new chapter. And I mean, I'm trying not to laugh. It's just the strategy of what they're doing is absolutely brilliant. When you see it from the perspective of the core, it's absolutely brilliant. It's nothing less than I expected. I've always known Stormfire was very clever, always known he was a genius, always known he had these abilities. And with the team around him and the technologies he now has, and with the support of the individuals in the novel that we know as the fairies of the Maga, we have a brilliant, brilliant strategy. So what I'm saying to you is what I see here at the core is that Stormfire and Muskie are presenting as if they are falling out. And there are multiple very important reasons that they're doing this. And it's good that they're doing this. This is a positive move. It's not silly. It's not stupid. It's not just trolling, even though that comes into it. This is done for a reason, and it's literally brilliant. That's what I am seeing. And yes, you can look at the overlords and think, well, they might actually think this. That's why it's safe for Gloria Love to talk about this, because they're fully aware that it could be a strategy, it could be not real. But that's not the main issue. The main issue is the town criers are now being forced to report on this because it's out there in the social domain for the Fae, on the little tippy-tappy computers and phones that the Fae have. It's out there in that social domain. It has to be reported on. It has to be reported on by the town criers. And so what that does is it forces, so that the white cat pixies don't have control over the town criers. The overlords do, but they can influence it by doing this, by working so well with the social town crier system, let's say, that influences the town criers out on the fairy television sets and radio systems and all those things. So that forces them to report on this system, this play out, which then the overlords, it doesn't really matter whether they believe that they're playing at this or whether they really are actually falling out. That's irrelevant, really, from the Overlord perspective, because what do the Fae think? The majority of the Fae across the village now think that Stormfire and Musky Squirrel are having a big fight. They've fallen out and they hate each other. And that's the agenda. That's not the agenda, that's the wrong word, from the White Cat Pixies. That's the objective, is to put that out there in the minds of the Fae, because it causes the overlords to have to then take a step back, because there's things they would have done had this not occurred, had this argument between Stormfire and the Squirrel not occurred. There are things the Overlord system would have done that they can't do now because of what's happened. One of those things is they were going to use something against Stormfire. I don't know what that something is, but they were going to use it against him. And they were planning on coming in with this very shortly. One of the things is what Musky Squirrel has already done. It's more than one thing, but one of the things he's done is talk about the naughty list. And he said that Stormfire's name is on the naughty list. So this was connected to what the overlords were going to use against Stormfire. But now that the Squirrel has come in and said it, they can't say it. So it's thrown that strategy for them out the window, because it's already made the town crier system through the Squirrel. And there are other things as well. The fact that the Squirrel and Stormfire are close friends in the first place was creating an opportunity for the overlords to use the friendship against them, against both of them, against Musky Squirrel and Stormfire. the overlords were going to use the close friendship against them. And what they were going to do is try to put a wedge between Stormfire and the Squirrel. Put a wedge between them and break them up, cause them to have friction and chaos, and destroy that power. They can't do that anymore because they've already done it. Stormfire and the Squirrel have already done it. So they've beat the overlords to their next move themselves. And that's only two aspects of why this is happening. So let me have a look. I've taken some notes here. There are lots of things I'm not shown, and I've explained why. Told you about the white paper dream. So this was in the white paper back in 2020 when Gloria Love had that dream in the novel. This has been planned for that long as a potential before even the Top Banana competition. So the other thing is, whilst when they were a united front, there was power on both sides with Stormfire, with the Squirrel, and all the teams around them. That gave them a certain strength. But because that was going to be capitalized upon and turned against them, what they've done now is created that strength in a different way, because they've now presented unpredictability to the overlords. And I'm talking about the state that's deep within this system, because you've got layers within the overlord system. So the state that's deep. So Stormfire and the Squirrel have become unpredictable because they're thinking, well, what's the next move going to be? What's going on here? You know, and some of them on the state that is deep level will be thinking, yeah, this is real. I've actually, because there's stuff going on behind the scenes and there's gossip going on behind the scenes. And so you'll have some state that is deep individuals saying, I've heard it's genuine. They really, really have fallen out. Because Stormfire will stay and be in that character and act that part behind the scenes, and so will Musk. So the people around them that are of the light, who are good and have a pure heart, even some of those individuals won't be in the know, so that it's presented very realistically. And that's what the overlords do. That's what the overlords have done for years and years and years. They only bring in those that need to know, and the others think that the play out, the false screen, the false awakening is real. So the White Cat Pixies are doing the same thing on that in that system, and I'm speaking specifically about Stormfire and the Squirrel and the advisory system around them, including this artificial intelligence quantum system. So those of the light won't necessarily be in the know, and those around them that are a bit suspect, that might actually really be a double agent, let's say, in the novel, then they're really out of the loop. They're going to be seeing behind the scenes genuine falling out. Stormfire moaning and saying things about the Squirrel, and the Squirrel saying stuff about Stormfire behind the scenes, away from the town criers, away from the cameras. It's still going to be played out. It's absolutely brilliant the way it's being done. So they're now unpredictable. That gives them a certain power, because the overlords need predictability in order to be able to move. They've had predictability for thousands of years. This is the first time, really, that they have not had predictability from the Fae, from the team of light, if you will, in the way that they have it now, at the same level of power that they are at. Because in the past, their level of power has been here, and the light's been here on a physical level. It's always been up here on a higher level, always, because this is only ever a mirror of that. That's real. This is not. This is illusion. This is the true reality. But on the physical level, they've had that balance, that power, and now it's evened up on the power level. And as I've been saying for a long time, in the novel, it's kind of like this, although it does swing, and that's the chess game. So they've become unpredictable. To do with the naughty list. Now, I don't know whether I've actually spoken about this or not yet in the novel about the naughty list. The naughty list itself, in and of itself, on a general level amongst all Fae, is kind of meaningless. And I'll explain why. On that naughty list, You have lots and lots of naughty pixies, naughty gnomes, and you have lots, not lots and lots, you have a smaller number, quite a significantly smaller number of good, genuine, positive fairies, innocent fairies. Now that's been merged together to, if you will, protect the genuine naughty ones, because if you put some good ones in there with them, nobody's going to be able to know who is who. So releasing that is kind of meaningless, because if you think that that list is only naughty fairies, then you're going to be looking at quite a lot of good, sweet, innocent fairies and thinking they're naughty. No, there's some good ones in there too. So it's possible that Stormfire's name is somewhere in here. However, if it is, it's on the periphery of the list. It isn't actually in your face on the list. I personally feel that there is a hermetic seal around Stormfire, or that there'll be some kind of alibi, if you will, that will come when that list is released. So the whole play out with the list, what was going to be used against Stormfire was the fact that there was any link at all with that list. And now the Squirrel has already gone and done what the Overlords planned to do, which was to use the list against Stormfire. Now the Squirrel has done it, so they can't do that. It's been done. I mean, they can capitalize on it in a way, but it's very, very risky for them because so many of them are on the list too. So, but this is a minor part of the whole thing. This is just one piece of this. And as we go forward into the month of June, as we read the novel throughout June and July, but June especially, there's so much going on from now through the month of June up to the summer solstice and beyond that. There's lots of very high marker points, and lots of powerful energy. And it's kind of here right now. It's here right now. And we're going to be moving through that over the next month or two. Another part of this is strategically taking this unity, this Stormfire musky squirrel unity, and splitting it, bifurcating it into two camps. So we're going to have some Fae that are going to react, oh no, I don't know what to do now. I want you to be unified. I can't choose. There'll be others that will be saying, I stand with Stormfire, and others that will be rallying around the squirrel. All of that is something that each individual has to decide for themselves when it comes to their perspective and their belief system and what they feel is real. But I'm talking about at the levels of the state that is deep and the individuals that are around the white cat pixies. If they do believe that this is a real falling out, then they can then choose to rally behind one or the other, and they could rally behind the squirrel, which would show Stormfire and the team around him which individuals are utterly truly for Stormfire, because lots of them have been pretending to be okay with Stormfire. That's what they were told to do. That was the strategy. That was the move after the Top Banana competition, and Stormfire won the competition in the novel. Instead of moving into an against going against Stormfire, that was kind of like too late because Stormfire already had the golden banana. So the strategy was to come in and act like you agree with him, act like you like him, get him on side, make him your friend, put him in a vulnerable situation where he thinks, oh, all of a sudden everybody likes me. That was the plan, that was the strategy. But this split, this presented split between Stormfire and the Squirrel, will now give Stormfire and the team around him, the genuine light team, a chance to look at who really is there with him, or who is actually going to move off to any opponent, whether that's the Squirrel or anyone else. So that's another aspect. But there's a third components to this. So this is like a created bifurcation. Actually, it's a trifurcation. If you look a little bit deeper and you come to the core, there is another energy in with this. Now, this is the part I do not see. I do not see why yet. All I know is that there is a third powerful gnome in this little theatre ploy pantomime show that's being put on, and that is Perua Rin Tintin. Perua Rin Tintin is in there too, but I don't know why. I'm not being shown why. I'm not being shown anything about the reason why it's the three of them, because at the main point of the core, it's the two of them. It's Stormfire and it's the Squirrel, and they are presenting this show. They are playing their parts and they are living this role. But Perua Rin Tintin is in there too, and I'm not shown anything beyond that other than I see Perua the gnome. Okay, so the other thing that is being presented here is, because you have so many different layers of state that is deep and town criers and all of the Fae that are already so against Stormfire and those that are against the Squirrel and against both of them, who have just literally followed these false screens and listened to the town criers. Back in 2020 in the novel, the presentation, it might have seemed complicated at the time when you read the book, but the presentation of the false screens were quite simple, really. It's either this is truth and this is not. But it's so much more complicated now because the White Cat Pixies are also in on the strategy. So there's two strategies that are playing out and false layers on both sides. So it's very difficult to work out what is what and who is who. And so for those individuals, those fairies in the state that is deep and in the town crier system and also in the general Fae system, those that have decided that they are against Stormfire and against the Squirrel, they would see this split as a good thing and think, yay, it's good. I'm glad this has happened to you. It proves you can't get on. You're both not intelligent enough or strong enough to get on with one another. This actually makes you look weak. You can't hold it together. So what kind of top banana are you when you can't even stay friends with somebody that last week you were giving the Squirrel a golden key? And that's another thing. I was always shown the metaphor of a golden key. I didn't actually realize there was a real golden key. I thought it was a metaphor. But anyway, that's just a side note. So yeah, these pixies and fairies would be thinking, you're weak. You are showing yourself as a top banana to be weak because you can't hold it together. You can't even keep control of your team, of your friends. Now, the state that is deep, that are only seeing false screens here and are believing them, will actually be thinking the same thing. Stormfire's in a weak position now because he's lost that support system. And it kind of takes the Squirrel out of it. And the Squirrel was like creating like a power system for Stormfire. And for the Squirrel to come out of it, Stormfire's left without that power system. That is what many will see. A great many will see that. And that is an illusion. Stormfire's not weak, but he is making it look so that those that are standing against him are not aware of the fact that he's actually stronger, more powerful. It's another tactic here. And I will just sort of say again that whilst I've given you as much of an analysis as I can of the core in this chapter, in this novel, there is much that I am not being shown. Now, what I see is all this stuff. I don't know what it is. So I see the core. I can clearly unravel it. I think, oh, I know what that is. I can see this. I see what's here. I see that this goes back to the past. I can see all of that. But then there's all of this stuff in like a haze. And when I asked the nine about Gloria Love's insight in the novel, in this fictional novel that we are writing together, that has multiple genres, including science fiction and horror and dark fantasy. I look at that and I asked the nine, and that's when they explained it isn't just about not speaking about it. I could actually be shown all of this and say, okay, well, I won't actually talk about any of this. No, this goes beyond your actual physical talking. It goes into the multidimensionality. If just one person who holds the ability to see through these dimensions and look through these portals into these core points through this remote viewing system, if just one person sees that, then that gives it sight and clarity for others to see. So I can't even be shown it at this point, but this will unravel. It will play out. And as we move through June, there is so much yet to come. This little beginning seed point for this big argument is going to move into multiple areas. One of them in the novel, in the fictional novel, is a financial area. One is a big battle area, and that's got Perua Rin Tin Tin in it. So there is stuff going on there too, and there will Perua Rintintin at some point is going to step in, and you will see that he's around with the two. You'll see the three of them. You'll see Stormfire, the Squirrel, and Perua, and it's been the three. They are the three most well, I wouldn't necessarily say that the squirrel was as powerful in the significance of this moving forward in the way that Stormfire and Perua are, but he's brought himself up to that place, and there are others too. It isn't just the three. There are others coming into this as this white cap pixie team steps up. And this is all part of this strategic plan that's been in place for so long, that is assisted by this quantum system and playing out this chess game with this dark system. So as we move through the next month, June, and into July, past the summer solstice, winter solstice if you're over on the other hemisphere, and into the summer or winter, you are going to see this play out in a financial sense, in a big battle sense, but also in the uncovering of multiple things that have been hidden, which is what the nine in the novel have been talking about for so long, ever since I first got online. The revealing of that which is hidden and uncovering it has always been a major core experience in the trajectory of the Pixies awakening, humanity's awakening, the fairies awakening, and all the great awakenings and layers of that within that. So you're going to look at issues that have been hidden, and it's going to uncover. And this is the thing with the naughty list. It's not the list itself. The naughty list acts as a fractal lid. It's like a lid on top of this fractal box. And if you open the lid, which is to reveal the list, all this other stuff is underneath it. And that is exposing so much. Now that is the point where the overlords wish to use this and turn it around, to invert it. So they want to say, don't look at us, look over there. The individual, the fairies in that pot underneath the lid of the list, all of that is there, and they will reflect back to Stormfire and the team. And that will be all over the town crier system and all over, and everybody will believe, oh, look at this, look at this. But because the squirrel has already mentioned that, it's taken a huge momentum away because all they can do now is capitalize on that. They can't actually seed it because it's already been seeded by the squirrel. So it's taken a huge impact away from them. And I laugh because it's brilliant. It's brilliant what they are doing in the novel, in this fictional story. So that's the update that I have right now. That's everything that I have seen and been shown about this right now. And it is very significant in the great revealing and great awakening in the novel, specifically in the Americano domain. But this will lead to other domains because this overlord system is village wide and isn't just in the one domain. So that's why I've come on to talk about this chapter, because it is significant. Something big has been seeded, and this is going to play out. And there's a lot of high energy around this throughout the month of June, starting now, especially in the next couple of weeks, around the summer solstice or winter solstice, around the time of the full moon, and all of these high spike points. So I wanted to come on here and just give an update on the latest chapter. So thank you ever so much for listening, and I will speak to you all again soon. Lots of love. Bye.